galaxy was on the brink of chaos. For decades, the Terrellian Empire had expanded relentlessly, consuming planets and subjugating entire species. No one dared oppose them openly. Their fleets darkened the skies of countless systems, and their diplomats carried threats veiled as offers of peace. Among the many worlds under threat was the verdant planet of Lysera, home to a proud civilization known for its scholars and artists, but whose military strength was modest compared to the Terrellians. Princess Leora of Lysera stood on the balcony of her palace, overlooking the sprawling capital. Ships hovered in the upper atmosphere, Terrellian emissaries, as always, pressing their demands. They wanted the planet's resources, its knowledge, and in a cruel twist of diplomacy, a treaty sealed in blood, Lysera had to surrender or face. Annihilation.liora, single quotes S heart pounded with the weight of responsibility. Her advisors had presented countless strategies fortifying defenses, forming alliances, or negotiating concessions, but none seemed viable. The Terrellians were not known for mercy, and the Council of Elders reminded her constantly that resistance would mean extinction for her people. Then, a human appeared. His name was Kale, a soldier of the Terran Union, humanity's interstellar federation. Unlike other alien species, humans were unpredictable, audacious, and resilient beyond measure. Kale arrived as a neutral envoy, claiming to offer assistance, but only if Lysera agreed to an unusual condition. "I will stop the Terrellians," Kale said, his voice steady, "but the treaty must be personal. I will marry the one who represents Lysera, and that union will bind our forces." The council gasped. Such an offer was unprecedented. Interstellar marriages were symbolic in some cultures, but humans were notoriously underestimated. Kale's boldness alone unsettled the Terrellian delegates, though no one could explain why. Leora studied Kale carefully. His presence was unassuming, almost ordinary compared to the shimmering Terrellian nobles. Yet there was a confidence in him, a calm authority that seemed to ripple through the palace chambers. She felt a spark of hope. If humans were as formidable as stories suggested, perhaps this was their only chance. The wedding was simple, held in the central hall of Lysera's capital. The Terrellian emissaries attended, their eyes glinting with disdain. They assumed it was a formality, a trivial alliance that would crumble under the pressure of their fleets. No one expected Kale to act. No one except Leora, whose trust in this human was growing with each passing moment. The next day, the Terrellian fleet descended upon Lysera's orbit. Their ships bristled with weapons, preparing to enforce the terms of conquest. But Kale was ready. He had brought a small contingent of Terran Union ships, seemingly outnumbered 100 to 1. Yet Kale did not hesitate. Using tactics that combined human ingenuity with unorthodox strategies, he launched a daring offensive. The Terrellian fleet was unprepared. They expected conventional maneuvers, but humans thrived on unpredictability. Kale's ships split, regrouped, and struck from angles no one anticipated. One by one, the largest vessels were crippled, their crews forced into retreat. The Terrellians, confident in their superiority, were stunned. Lior watched from the observation deck, fear and awe colliding in her chest. Her planet had survived, not through brute strength alone, but because a single human had leveraged intelligence, courage, and creativity against an empire that had crushed countless worlds. After the battle, Kale met with the Terrellian commanders. He spoke calmly, almost casually, and yet each word carried the weight of humanity's unyielding resolve. "You may continue your conquests elsewhere," Kale said. "Lysera will not yield. Humanity protects those who are bound to us." The Terrellians recoiled as if struck. Their records held no precedent for such defiance. Entire fleets had been annihilated by humans in conflicts before, but always with overwhelming odds in humanity's favor. Here, Kale had done it with a fraction of the force, outsmarting a superior fleet, Leora finally understood. Humans were underestimated not because they lacked power, but because no empire had studied the limits of their ingenuity. They were wild cards, impossible to predict, and terrifyingly efficient when defending life. Kale's victory was proof that no empire, no matter how vast, could afford to dismiss human resolve. Days turned into weeks, and Lysera began the slow process of recovery. Kale remained at her side, not as a conqueror, but as a partner and protector. The Terrellians, unwilling to risk further humiliation, withdrew their forces, leaving Lysera in a fragile but lasting peace. During this time, Leora learned more about human customs, their philosophy, and the subtle ways they understood courage. Kale spoke of loyalty, sacrifice, and the unity that bound humanity together. Leora realized that the human mind was as formidable as any fleet, and that their compassion was intertwined with a ferocity unmatched by other civilizations. She also discovered the personal side of Kale, the quiet moments of reflection, his sense of humor, and the way he treated every Lyceran citizen with respect. It was no longer just politics. It was admiration, gratitude, and slowly, something deeper. The Terrellians never returned, but their shadow lingered in the minds of the galaxy. Whispers spread about the human who had thwarted an empire with a handful of ships, a mere fraction of humanity's true potential. Leaders reconsidered old alliances, generals recalculated strategies, and even the most audacious conquerors hesitated before touching human worlds. Leora understood the lesson deeply. She had married a human to save her planet, but in doing so, she had witnessed the reason no empire dared challenge humanity. It was not just their weapons, but their spirit, their unpredictability, and the unwavering courage that flowed through every individual. Months later, in the quiet of Lysera's gardens, Leora stood beside Kale. The air was thick with the fragrance of flowering trees, and the sun painted golden streaks across the sky. She turned to him and spoke with sincerity. "I thought I married you to save my people," she said. "I did not realize I married the force that makes the galaxy tremble." Kale smiled, a simple, reassuring gesture. "You married a human, yes, but humans are strongest when they fight for others. You gave me a reason. You gave me purpose." Together, they looked out at the stars, knowing that Lysera would thrive not because of trees or fleets alone, but because humans were now its guardians, and the galaxy had learned, through fire and ingenuity, that humanity was not to be underestimated. From that day forward, Lysera became a symbol. Other civilizations saw that humans were not just warriors, but protectors, capable of turning the tide of war with courage and cleverness. Tales of Kale's victory spread across systems, inspiring those who longed for freedom and cautioning those who sought domination. In private moments, Leora often reflected on the irony of it all. The human she married was not only her savior, but a revelation, a reminder that the strength of a civilization is measured not only in ships and armies, but in the spirit of its people. She understood why no empire dared to challenge humanity. It was the very unpredictability, ingenuity, and indomitable will that defined them. And as long as humans stood united, no threat, no matter how vast, could ever conquer the galaxy without facing a reckoning unlike any it had ever seen. Years later, when the Terrellians attempted minor incursions on border worlds, they found themselves repelled time and again. Other species marveled at human resilience, wondering how a species so young in the galactic stage could inspire such fear. Leora watched these events unfold with a mixture of pride and quiet satisfaction, knowing that her choice to wed a human had not only saved her planet, but had also revealed the truth of humanity's unparalleled strength. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humans were a force unlike any other, not because they wielded unmatched technology alone, but because they combined courage, ingenuity, and loyalty in ways no empire could anticipate. And at the heart of this revelation was a single human, Hyle, whose love for a princess and his unwavering commitment to justice had reshaped the destiny of an entire world, and perhaps, one day, the fate of countless others. Lycera flourished under their guidance. Trade, culture, and alliances grew stronger, and no Terrellian dared return. The stars themselves seemed to bend to the resilience of humanity, and the galaxy knew a simple truth. Wherever humans went, hope followed, and tyranny trembled.